All right, everybody. What's up, DawgNation? Man, thrilled to welcome you all in tonight, right about the time we need to. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Before the Hedges is actually called tonight. After the Hedges, we are welcoming a very special guest, Kathy Tomasino. We're bringing in national champion, University of Georgia, offensive lineman, offensive tackle, Jamaree Salyer. Always mama's going to be proud of this young man. Into the house tonight. We call this Before the Hedges every week, but not tonight. Not tonight. It's After the Hedges.
Yeah, I like that.
Bona fide, real OGs, Jamaree Salyer. And I mean, geez, Jamaree, we've got a million things to talk about. First of all, folks, let's do this. Welcome this young man in. I mean, you hadn't seen him in a minute. He's dazzled at national championship, at Sanford Stadium, at the Combine, at his pro day. He's wearing his Georgia sweatshirt. I didn't tell him to wear his Georgia sweatshirt. That's just who he is. We're going to talk all things Jamaree. And, hey, again, I'm going to do this reporter thing for a little bit. And then you guys can talk to Jamaree. Ask him anything you want to within reason, and we will see what he has to say about it. Jamaree, what's this been like, man? I mean, you probably got some intel from Aziz and Andrew. You know what this is like, Solomon, but what has it been like actually going through it?
Yeah, so for me, it's kind of been special. You know, it's been a really special. I think these last few months have kind of just been like a blur. You know, like 1 minute you're in Miami, then the next minute you're in Indianapolis, and the next minute you're back in the app, you're training. So kind of special. I think for me, the thing looking back on it, always the connection between us. Really connected, a really well connected group, and that's what made us special. That's what made us the teams we played. So, yeah, I definitely love this team. I miss the guys in the locker room. I miss seeing them every single day. So, yeah, it made us different.
Jamaree, it's a cliche, but people say the journey is always more rewarding than the destination itself. And, man, I got to think about your journey. Nation's #1 guard, didn't play immediately, had to wait your turn, and then it just goes bonkers. You start playing offensive tackle, do a little Isaiah Wynn thing, and then I would imagine you would not change a single thing about your Georgia career. Maybe not. How would you – I mean, was this the perfect script for your college career in Athens?
I say it doesn't get much better. I say I knew like it was gonna take some adjustment for me coming in. Just knowing me, the person that takes some adjustment coming in the door. A lot of talented guys when I first got there. And so for me, it was kind of I wouldn't say it was a humbling experience, but it was something different. You know, I'd never really not played. So but the years that I didn't play is really where I grew the most as a player. So for me, I needed that. And so it was a perfect, I mean, you can describe it better as a perfect script. It ended the most perfect storybook way I could have imagined it. Yes, just looking back on it, I kind of get at a loss for words sometimes because, you know, I mean, just think about it. Sometimes it doesn't really hit you like, man, I won a national championship. But like, you know, now that we actually sitting here talking about it, I actually sit and just think about that. And it's kind of crazy. So I enjoyed my journey for sure.
When are you going to get that ring? Have you heard about that yet? When you get in the ring?
I have no idea. I've heard different things. I've heard GDay. I've heard could possibly be after GDay. I have no idea, but I'm ready to see it. I'm ready for it. I think that might maybe cement it in my head, you know, that I'm champion. But yeah, I'm whenever they bring you here, I'm gonna be here to get it. It's none of that.
Jamaree, let me say this from one of our great viewers, readers, people on DawgNation. This is Kathy. She was a former SEC athlete at Ole Miss. I think she was the first female track athlete scholarship at Ole Miss. She's a huge Georgia fan. Wow. She says, let me thank you for being part of something I've dreamt of since I was 13 years old. I was at the Natty, bawling my eyes out like thousands of other UGA fans. Thank you for the hard work, commitment, and dedication it took to bring that Natty home. And she gave you a heart emoji, man. That's pretty solid.
Thank you, Miss Kathy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you've done for the SEC. I appreciate you.
What's the one moment, Jamaree? Like, I know you're a visual storyteller type guy. If you had to Spielberg and say, this is my national championship story, what's the moment that will be with you when you're 82 years old and have 19 great grandkids?
Man, you kind of taking me back there. I mean, it's just so many of them flood into my head, I remember being at the hotel. I remember seeing a stadium, like riding up on the stadium and just like, man, we here. Like you just get those butterflies and it's like, all right, here we go. And it's not even so much that it was butterflies. It was just like, man, we're here. Like, and I'm going back. So, and that's where I wanted to be. There's no place they could have paid me $1 million. That's no place else I wanted to be in that Lucas Oil Stadium that night. So I remember before the game, I remember most of the plays on every drive. I remember the goal line plays. I just remember everything. So for me, I think the thing that maybe sticks out the most to answer your question is probably just seeing my reflection in the trophy. Like, that's something I'll never forget, is just seeing my own reflection in the trophy. I remember seeing all the little dirty fingerprints on there. I just the stuff I was thinking about in that moment. I remember looking up and just seeing all those people in the red and black just crying and stuff. And it's not something I would have actually ever been prepared for. I'll put it like that. Like, it was an overwhelming moment. It was an emotional moment. You could just kind of feel it in the atmosphere. Yeah, it was something.
If you had any advice for 17-year-old Jamaree when he was moving into Athens, he could write a letter to that freshman self. What would you want to hit? What notes would you hit for that guy?
I just tell him to be patient mentally, be patient spiritually, be patient emotionally. College is different. I tell him get out more. I tell him don't be a homebody so much. Tell him to get out more. Tell him, man, just taking every moment, because they go by really fast. I know it's the old cliche thing that most older people say to young people, but in this instance, it did. I mean, all of it went by fast. So I tell them enjoy every moment. Don't take any day for granted. Just understand where you are. Understand how blessed you are to be in this moment, because I mean, it's going, and it still is. So, but yeah, I just tell them to enjoy it, man, because it's definitely something special. I do realize that now, being removed, is that it's starting to hit me that time was special. The bonds I made were special. The people I met were special. The practices were special. They sucked, but they were special. And definitely Saturday between the hedges and beyond was definitely special. So,
Jamaree, how's the conversation go with pro personnel, guard, tackle, center?
mm-hmm.
Has it been a wide range of things? I know you're comfortable with whatever, but what do you think that they are projecting you to be?
Yeah, so typically I get interior questions. A lot of teams want to know if I have the ability to play center, and I have in game. I played like Missouri, like second half, and so I played center in game. And that's what a lot of teams like to know, is how often do you play center? Like, I know we know you played in that one game. I think it was like it was my sophomore year, and so they often ask you, like, how much center can you play? So I play center every day. I snap every day in practice, and so. For me, that's not a hard question to ask. Do you feel comfortable there? And I was like, yeah, because when I first got there, Coach Pittman put me at center as a freshman. Like, walking in the door, very minimal about plays. I had no choice but to learn it, or I'll be, torn up every single day, especially with the talent we had on defensive line at that point. So for me, it's kind of forced me to learn a playbook, and I hated it at the time, but it's one of the things that I'm like most thankful for, and I could thank him for it a million times if I could see him. But yeah, him putting me at center and going through that trial by fire basically kind of helped me. And so, yeah, I get a lot of questions about interior guard. Obviously, I feel really comfortable and natural there. I feel really comfortable at left tackle, of course, and I feel really comfortable at right tackle. So I get all five, honestly. But most of the questions are kind of directed towards interior.
Going back to the Natty, when did you know the game was in hand? When did you know that? Was there a break their will moment? Was there a we got it? Was there it all came together in the huddle moment? When did you know?
I think for us, I don't remember exactly what happened before that drive. I know the drive, Stetson got sacked. They called it a fumble, whatever. They went on offense. I think they scored. And for us, we like, man, we got like, I looked at the offensive line and said, we got to go win this game. Like, that's what it comes down to. We have to like physically abuse them and win this game. And they have to we got to make them like it. And that's what it comes down to. We have to actually make them want to play the style of play we want to play. And so for us, I kind of knew at that point, if we had went out there with that mindset and Coach Monken gave us a chance to like actually beat them on the line of scrimmage, that we're going to win the game. And so that first drive, we came back out there. Then that's when James hit that long like 80 some yard run. And so from that point, I'm like, okay, like this is about to turn into our game, because I knew. And when it came to that 12 personnel lineup and just go downhill, like they didn't want that type of game. And so we knew that going into the game, and Coach Monken gave us a chance to make the game a lot more simpler, to put our best on their best and just see who was better. And so, and then when it's time to take our shots in the fourth quarter, we did, because they were worried about us, getting 12 personnel and running down their throat. So I think it's kind of from that drive. And then I remember where I was standing, because I replayed all of this in my head when I came back for the combine. And so I remember exactly where I was standing when Keely caught the pick. I remember running down the sideline, getting ready to go back on goal line if we needed to. So yeah, I remember all of it. And I remember looking at Coach Luke. That's what I remember the most. Is I remember Keely caught the pick, he ran it back. I think we were up by over a touchdown at that point. And so I'm like, Coach, you finna win, you about to win. He's like, clock, the game's not over yet. The game's not over yet. I'm like, come on, Coach, loosen up. So he's not, the game's not over. I just need to hit 0-0. So I remember all of that. I know I'm rambling, but it's a lot of emotion wrapped up in those moments. So yeah.
Jamaree, you think you're rambling, but I think it's probably going to be the stuff that folks love the most about this conversation, is just that stream of content.
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. That's right. People think it's an interviewer that asks the question. No, I just get you going. I just get you rolling downhill. That's what I do.
For sure.
Do you think I got to ask you this, and this is a sort of a recruiting question, but Jamaree, you came in with the 2018 class, and it was the DawgNation folks. I even said, this is probably the one that's going to do it. 7 5-stars. I think there were 7 out of the top 50 players in the country, 12 in the top 100, 15 in the top 100. And that sucker flipped upside down. There's probably 6 or 7 of those guys that didn't even last 2 years. And yet that's got to be a little bit satisfying, but also on your script of that the national championship happened from those boys, Zeus, yourself, a lot of other guys, but it just came about in a totally different way. I mean, totally different. No Justin Fields, no Luke Ford, Dave Mays, no Otis Reese. I mean, what was that journey like, man?
It's crazy because, I was just talking to somebody about this, like how different that class actually turned out to be from start to finish. But, everything happens for a reason. That's the only thing I can really say. Everything happens for a reason. I love all those boys. We experienced things, went through things together that, people don't understand. Being a Georgia football player just takes on a kind of a personality of its own. The dog days out there in the sun, the grind day in and day out. I mean, they understand that in the ways that other people won't. And so while people, get upset with them on social media, a lot of Georgia football players aren't like, normally upset, because at the end of the day, those people have a bond. Those guys that leave have a bond with us that's different from anything that people will understand. So if they make a decision that's best for them, what can we do? Like, be mad at them? So at the end of the day, it did take the class 2018 did kind of take on a personality of its own, but I think we wouldn't have won it any other way. I think for us, it makes it 10 times more special that we did it as seniors. Even for people like Julian, and Schaefer, like the people that weren't part of our class, but they're considered to be seniors or super seniors or whatever you want to call them, like they're a part of our class now, So for us, it's huge. It's huge, and it makes it 10 times more special that we were the seniors that did it. And so I think that'll be something that we'll all just, bring our kids back one day, and just Coach Monken always about that, just the reunion, the 10-year reunion. He always talks about that. He's like, I'm excited to see you guys in 10 years. You bring back your kids. I can't wait. And so, it's special.
Jamaree, I know you're a fun group of guys.
Yeah.
I know you're really close with Bees. You're close with Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
I get the feeling you're going to hold this over them. Like every time you talk to them on vacations, you're going to be like, tell me about that. You're going to like flash that. I mean, what is it going to be like being the one that earned the ring, man? What's that going to be like with that special brotherhood you have with those guys?
I mean, it's tough because, Drew's got his accomplishment of his own. Aziz, of course, basically in the fourth quarter, pretty much single-handedly won the Peach Bowl. So, they got their accomplishments of their own. But I just don't think they got anything that'll compare to that ring, man. That ring is different. It's special. But I try not to kill him with it too much. I think I hit Drew with it one time. He's just like, "What about first round? What about this?" And I was like, "All right, my bad, my bad, my bad. I ain't got the draft day yet. I can't mess with you yet." So, but yeah, no, they are all at the end of the day happy for me. They don't really, do anything. Honestly, when I was at the Hawks game, I think it's this past weekend. I saw Trey and Aziz there, and Trey was trying to get me to take pictures with everybody. Take pictures with the national champ. He was over there advertising and stuff like that. So,
Hype man.
Yeah. Basically, that's typically what Trey's role is in our friend group. So, yeah. But they enjoy. They're happy for me. They all congratulated me after the game. So, yeah.
Jamaree is a national champion. I know you got the ring. I know you got all your gear. Do you ever get any merchandise? Do you ever I don't know, you've got the hat. Do you ever want to get like a license plate or like a figurine or anything like that? I mean, or does that?
Wait, can I grab it? Do you mind if I grab it real quick? Because I just saw this. I don't know where this came from. I didn't bring this here. So I'll show it to you. Hold on, give me 1 second. Huh?
Yeah, sure. We love visual aids here on After the Hedges.
Let's see. We got this race car, and I didn't bring this here. I don't know where this came from, but I don't know if my mom brought this here, but it's got the national championship Indianapolis on it. And it's a race car, so I didn't bring this here, but yeah, this is I got this at some point, I guess, while I was in Indy. But yeah, I guess if you want some type of memorabilia, that'll be something I keep. But I just don't know how it got here. I didn't bring it here, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Jamaree, I know players, especially in Athens, are like a circle. There's somebody that brought you under their wing, and then there's somebody you paid it forward for going forward. Who were the guys? I guess this is a two-parter. Who were the guys that really helped you on your journey? And then who were the guys that are still in Athens that you took a special interest in for the future?
Yeah, for sure. So just walking in the door, and that's kind of how Coach Smart wants it, is kind of guys to take each other under their wing. So for me, walking in the door, I know obviously Andrew was there. Andrew's my roommate. Spend a lot of time with him, just kind of talking about football. Solly obviously took me in. Lamont helped me out helped me transitioning, learning how to play center and stuff like that, position I hadn't really mastered yet. So Lamont helped me from a mental standpoint, understand the game. One of the sharpest guys that have came through the University of Georgia as far as his mind and being able to dissect the game. So just those guys, Kendall, KB always, put words of inspiration on me just to make sure I wasn't really getting down going into that freshman slump or whatever. So, those guys really kind of took me under the wing. They kind of knew I'd be special, kind of talked to me in a way that was different. It's kind of expecting me to be able to help if something were to happen. And so, they inspired me every single day. They made sure I didn't, go astray or anything like that. They always looked out for me. So, I'm very thankful for those guys. And then, and then for as far as guys that kind of, I guess, took under my wing, I know Broderick coming in, kind of from a very, very close, as far as, proximity to home. We're very close. And so, Broderick obviously kind of came together. Cedric coming in the door. Cedric, very good player. Just guys like that. Xavier Truss, that whole little group, Devin Willock, just all my young guys really kind of just looked up to me for leadership. And I just kind of wanted to be that for them, be a consistent leader. Never asked them to do something that I didn't want to do. That's kind of what I prided myself on, is being a leader. Just if I'm asking them to do it, they know I'm willing to do it. And at the end of the day, that's what makes your word stand at the end of the day. So, I guess that's kind of all of those guys, really. I got a lot of respect for a lot of those young guys. Michael Morris, you can't remember when Michael first got there. It's a lot of those guys. So Jared, Dylan, all my freshmen from last year. So, yeah.
It's funny, my role in covering the team, Jamaree, I see a lot of reflections of the great, intelligent, hardworking young man you were, and a lot of these guys that are coming along, Micah, Cedric, Jared Wilson. It's almost like, you ever look at those guys and go, hey, you remind me of me a little bit, because it looks like they found a blueprint for a dog.
Cedric might try to fight me if I say Cedric's so prideful, but I see some of myself in those guys, just the determination, the hunger. Those guys know how to learn how to practice. One of the first things you learn how to do when you get on campus is learn how to practice, learning what practice looks like. It's fast, it's physical. It can be a lot, doing it over and over again, but you learn how to, get accustomed to that. That's part of becoming a Georgia football player. So, yeah, I can kind of see that kind of developing into those guys that leadership qualities. And a Warren McClendon. That's kind of like the first guy kind of came behind me. So just in a guy like that, or in a guy like Cedric Van Pran, or in a guy even like Xavier Truss, so just different guys have stepped into that leadership role this year. I kind of see it in watching practice recently. So yeah, I can kind of see those qualities in those guys.
Jamaree, we have a lot of questions that are coming in. I'm going to try and merge a lot of the program format here.
Okay.
Heather Rhodes has a couple of good ones. And Heather, I'm hearing you. I'm seeing you, Heather. You're doing great. She wants to know a couple things. She said she loves the way you play the game, but she most admires the way you live your life. She wants to know about your faith and how that has helped you through the highs and lows of your football career and just growing into being a young adult.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, to keep it simple, God is everything to me. Nothing, no day starts without him, no day ends on him. So, I got to get better, honestly, but I've been on a pretty good roll, just trying to get back into my good book. I've been reading the Competitor's Bible. And so for me, it kind of has these little inscriptions on a day-to-day basis of like different topics, different areas in your life to, kind of hit. It's kind of giving me a way to kind of guide my faith. But God has been really good to me. He's obviously blessed me with tremendous things, tremendous accolades, and he's put me in positions to do things like win a national championship. So, my faith was kind of instilled in me by my parents, by my grandmother. And I got the praying grandmother, and so yeah, it's for me. It's I didn't really have a choice. Like I had a choice. My family didn't make me, but to me, they showed me what it was to be a good Christian, to be a good person. And just to grow up with more than anything, to grow up with high morals, high character, being a high character person or a respectful person. And so that's just I try to live my life to echo what they put into me. Because to me, I always tell people I've never really wanted my mother to have to answer for something I did that she saw that somebody told her I did on ESPN or on DawgNation or anything like that. I never really wanted my mom to have to say, "Why do you do that? Like, what man do that?" Because my mom raised me better than that, and I know that. So that always meant a lot to me. I always take pride in that, and so that's kind of what helps me guide me to lead my life the way I do. So,
amen. God bless praying grandmas.
For sure, no doubt, can't beat them.
Cannot. Jamaree, I got to ask this. For you, how important do you think that was for, I don't know whether it's rat poison or humble pie, but how important was that whooping from Bama to you guys to elevate your game in order to win it all? Do you think that was vital in the championship?
Huge. I think for us, just on that given day, they were the hungrier team. I mean, if you put it in all honesty, they were the hungrier team. They wanted the game more. They came in with a different type of tenacity. But they didn't just line up and whoop us either. Now, if you look at the game, we made a lot of mistakes. We busted a lot of coverages. I mean, you got Jameis Williams running down the sideline wide open. You're not going to win games like that. And so we just wanted to correct as many of those mistakes as we could. Correct the busted coverages, correct the missed plays on offense. I mean, for us, we just want to play. We knew for us, we had the talent and the competitive edge that if we played a clean bill of football, like I'm talking about no missed assignments, no busted plays, no this, no that we would be a tough team. We were going to win. Like we just knew that because we had the talent level to compete down in and down and out. We just had to limit the mistakes. And so for us, I think that game kind of exposed us for a lot of things that we kind of let slip by, maybe like our conditioning or, certain people not knowing certain plays. And because when you're playing a competitive team and a competitive coach like Nick Saban, he's not going to have a lot of them. A lot of mistakes that is. So for us, we just wanted to limit mistakes, and we knew that if we could do that on the second go round, that they weren't going to beat us.
Jamaree, folks call this, and I think they're right, the golden age of Georgia football, because it's not just the Bulldogs winning the big game, and it's not just beating Alabama, it's winning the national championship,
right?
And then it's slaying the NFL Combine, and it's slaying Pro Day.
Right.
I mean, the draft is going to be a 4-hour, 3-day commercial for Georgia football. Yeah. And I want to specify the question by saying everybody calls the defense generational. And I remember, I think it was during the Combine where I think you had a tweet where Jordan Davis ran 4.79. And you were just like, I've seen this, a grown man, a million times, or I know this is possible, but it still stuns you. I mean, what do you think that's like? What was it like going against 3 first-rounders, maybe a top 3 pick, maybe the number 1 overall pick now in Trayvon Walker, and then might be 10 guys in the first 2 rounds? What was it like going against that group every day?
Honestly, for us, it was just work. Looking back on it, it's easy to say like, oh, what was it like going against all those first rounders? But I mean, going into the season, everybody won the first rounder. You know, like a lot of those guys made their mark. Trayvon Walker's jumped the boards quicker than any prospect I've ever seen in my life. So, it was just kind of work for us. You know, we didn't really look at it from, well, this guy's first round, this guy's this person, this guy's that person. We put it on, man on man every single day. We're just going to see who had the better day. And that's what it was. That's what practice was for us. So, Coach Smart would never let us get caught up in the newspapers and what this guy, what Tommy says about this person. We just kind of worked every single day. And so that's what it was, from beginning to end. We worked every single day. We got better at certain things. We just wanted to basically go out there and make each other so good that when it came to the game was easy. And that's what we did a lot of the time. A lot of the time you found yourself, kind of bringing it down to your competition as opposed to, rising up, because the guys you play against every single day, that's the best competition you're going to face. And so for me, yeah, that's kind of what it was. Just it was a grind every single day, but it was never like, oh, I'm blocking Trayvon Walker in his one-on-one rep, or I'm blocking JD. Like, we just worked every single day, and we crushed each other on the field, and then we walked outside the white lines, and it was like, that's my brother again. So that's what it was for us.
Jamaree, I've noticed, I know your devotional book says remain humble. Even Denzel said when you're at your highest, that's when the devil comes for you.
No doubt.
I noticed you have not. You did revel in national champion before your name, and I mean,
yeah.
It's totally human, right? I mean, what was that like when you went up there? Is that just simply representing your alma mater and being honored to be a part of that team? What was that like for you?
Yeah, for me, it was just kind of, I guess, kind of put the world on notice. Like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, we're national champs for what, a few more, like 10 more months, whatever it is, however many more months it is till the game is played again. So, I'm gonna let the world know, at the end of the day before, and I don't think we're gonna do it again. So, I'm gonna say it again if we do it again. So, at the end of the day, I just, I want to live it. I want to breathe it in, because it's something we did that was special. 41 years. I mean, you can't beat it. You can't beat that feeling. You can't beat being a part of that team, being a part of that special group. And so when it comes time for me to talk about it, I have so much passion and joy and energy, because I know how hard I worked to get there. I know how hard our team worked to get there. I know that I watched this team grow from an immature young team to at my senior year, an older team led by leaders, And so, I mean, I enjoy it, because at the end of the day, it should be enjoyed. It should be praised. And I'll let the world know when I get a chance. So.
Jamaree, the questions are coming in fast and furious. I'm going to try and facilitate as many as I can, like Curry or Chris Paul or whatever. Stan Scarborough asked you, which coach had the most influence on you during your time at Georgia?
It's tough. I'd say I'd probably say Coach Pittman, Coach Smart, and Coach Luke, probably between those three, the obvious answer. I say Coach Pittman, just because he did a great job of recruiting me. Obviously, he gave me the opportunity to come to Georgia, so it starts with that. But he did a great job just getting to know my family. He would text my brother and my sister happy birthday even when I was at Georgia. Just things like that, where it's like normal coaches don't do stuff like that. And so, he made it a job to not only know Jamaree Salyer, the football player, but Jamaree Salyer, the person. And so I'll be forever indebted to Sam Pittman, because he took time to mold me, the person, and to get to know me, the person. And so I always had a connection with him. Coach Smart, of course, is that physical mentality, just having a different type of respect for the game of football. I think him and Coach Luke are very similar in that way, is in respecting the way the game is played, playing it in a physical way, in a tough way, but not in a flashy, showboaty way, just going out every single day, being a blue-collar guy. Because at the end of the day, you working, you working every single day, and that's what it comes down to. So, and then just Coach Luke, I mean, he's kind of coming in. He didn't try to force himself onto us. He kind of allowed the room to take a personality on, but the room kind of took on a leadership role as well. So I always be thankful for Coach Luke, just kind of being graceful in his entrance into UGA. He didn't try to force us or force how we changed, because he knew we were physical, tough football players. He's one to kind of sharpen what he already had, and so I appreciate him for that. So yeah,
good answer. Jamaree, a lot of people are asking some variant of this question, so I'll just combine it. Now, the way the NFL draft works is you could say 6 teams, 8 teams. Those are the ones that are hitting you up the most and showing you the most interest. And then there's a totally team you've barely heard from. They end up drafting you. Are you able to gauge which teams are really showing sincere interest? And does that feel in any way like the recruiting process at all, or no?
I wouldn't say it's like recruiters changed. Recruit is different. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of flash and recruiting nowadays, but that's the world. That's where we live in. So it's different. But I guess this combine and this pre-draft process is not a lot of flash. It's not a lot of courting you and bringing you maybe on a top 30 video. Like, it's not really that way. You can kind of feel some coaches don't say, hey, we'll like you or anything like that, but they'll say like, hey, we like you here, like what you can do with this, we'll be in contact with you, things like that. You know, some coaches will make it plain, some coaches won't just say, and then that'll be it. And that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. So yeah, it's just different things. You a lot of times you can tell, but sometimes you really don't know. Like you said, there's cases where a team could draft you and you maybe had one Zoom call with them and they just fell in love with you. So yeah.
Jamaree, Sonia Prescott asked a question. She wants to know, how would you like to play for the Giants? 2 high school teammates or 2 college teammates on the same pro team. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, not only teammates, but roommates. Those I live with those guys, so that'd be pretty cool. Just to be able to go visit those guys. Seeing Jersey, seeing NYC, just being up there with those guys. I mean, it would kind of be special. It'd kind of be like like it was meant to be. That's kind of how I would feel about it. So, I would enjoy playing with them. But at the end of the day, you never know on draft day. So.
Kind of funny. The odds are pretty high that you will either play with a former Georgia teammate or somebody that you just coming into this draft class with. I mean, very high. There's a lot of dogs in a lot of spots right now.
For sure. Yeah, it's very good chance, like you said.
Jamaree, I want to ask you about Broderick Jones, because you mentioned him earlier. He comes from the same part of the state, the same part of Atlanta area that you do. How important was he in that final quarter? And then also, what are your thoughts on what he will bring to Georgia in 2022 to maybe soak up some of those reps that Big 69 is vacated now?
Yeah. I mean, huge. You really can't put into perspective how, from his perspective, like what that was like. You got 4th quarter, you're playing against one of the most talented edge rushers in college football, and we're playing for a national championship. I mean, that not a lot of people would take that situation and handle it the best way that he did, in the way that he did. And so I just think that kind of speaks to his poise. That speaks to who he is as a young man, as a competitor, as an athlete. Because a lot of people would have took that situation and folded, especially in as high value of a position that he was in. So, but he went out there and he played his tail off, played a great quarter against some great players. And so I just think that kind of speaks to his poise and the level of athlete he is, because we all know Broderick's a freak athlete from being a big guy. So just going out there and doing what he does from a mental standpoint, being put in a position that he was put in to play like that is special. And I think this season that'll kind of continue to marinate. He got some good reps this year with me being out and whatnot. And so, I always thought he could be as good of a pass protector as I was. And so I'm excited to see him play. I'm excited to see what he does, because the ceiling for him is freaking high. So I'm excited for him, and I'm excited for a lot of those young guys. So it'll be fun.
Did you ever meet his pet snake?
No. He knows me and the snakes are not allowed in the same proximity. No.
Jamaree, I gotta give you. Now, you didn't ask me to do this, but I'm going to do this.
Okay.
I want to let you, folks, if you don't know, and maybe we're not breaking news here, I don't think. Jamaree will be at the bookstore, right, for GDay. Is that right?
That's right.
You
Right.
sign your name, you get to meet and greet. And I mean, guys, this is, speaking as a father of a young man, this is the type of young man you want your son to grow up to be like, to be hanging out, to be around. If you want to meet Jamaree, if you want to get him to sign something, he will be at the GDay Bookstore on GDay. What do you expect? Do I have that right, Jamaree? What's that entail?
Yeah. So from what I believe we're going to be there for 2 hours, for a 2-hour slot. I don't think it's during the game. I think it's right before kickoff. It'll be a 2-hour slot. It will be me and a couple other guys signing before the game. But that's kind of what it'll be. It just be kind of a signing process, a meet and greet type thing with me, and I think there's some other guys in our draft class that'll be there too. But it should be a great opportunity to meet some great fans, meet some great players as well. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to just kind of be able to allow people to put a helmet with a face, I guess you could say, and be able to shake some hands for GDay. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to watch the guys compete as well. So it'll be kind of the best of both worlds, I guess.
Jamaree, what's it like waiting to figure out your future? What's that been like, and what's it like currently? Is it waking up at night and just dreaming and just wondering what's going on?
Yeah, it's a lot of dreaming going on of where you could be. I mean, with a situation like that, the possibilities are kind of endless. There's 32 different possibilities that you can have. And so I think as you get closer and you meet with more teams, more people, you'll be able to start to say, okay, well, these people, they don't really contact me. This team hasn't really talked to me at all, so I can kind of cut them out. Or this team. So I think I've been to 2 draft parties now. So, the guys and my roommates have kind of gone. I always kind of have certain teams they think like, oh, well, it could be this team, or it could be that team, or it could be that team. So every time that team picks, it's like, okay, is it going to be this time? Or, because you can kind of see the teams coming down the line normally when in the draft. And so you can like, okay, they have this pick at this number, so they might be calling soon. And what a lot of people don't know is the TV copy is like probably a whole minute behind like that, like real life. And so when Aziz got drafted like a whole probably minute, like he got the call a whole probably minute and a half before it went on TV. And so it was pretty cool. But yeah, it's a wild day. It's a lot of waiting. It's very anxious. You can see it in kind of, I can remember seeing it in Drew, and even Drew's face, like, he kind of just knew he was going number 4 when you're that early, or when you're that talented. I guess you should say, you're going top 5. They normally tell you, but with Aziz, it's kind of like you're just playing a waiting game. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I'm curious to this one. What do you? And a lot of people are asking me about the Michigan game, but what do you feel was the best game you played at Georgia?
The best game, I would say, probably the Clemson opener or the SEC championship game. I think I played good in the Michigan game. I think I could have played better. Me personally, that's just me holding myself to that standard. I think I could have played better, but I feel like I had a pretty good game against the Clemson defensive front, and then a pretty good game against Alabama in the SEC championship game as well. So,
what's the standard you use to define good? Because a lot of people are looking at you and saying Jamaree might have made some money blocking Hutchinson against Michigan, but what's your standard which says that's a great Jamaree Salyer game?
Yeah, so for me, it always starts with me with no sacks, no pressures. That's what you expect from a left tackle. That is the standard. I mean, it could be left tackle for Georgia, left tackle for 49ers. I'm sure he's the same way. Like, no sacks, no pressure. That's what you want. A clean build. Clean build, that's what I call it. Clean build, that's what Jonas Jennings calls it. Clean build. No sacks, no pressures. Stetson ain't going to the hospital. That's what you want. So that's kind of what a good pass protection game for me. In the run game, just being physical, finishing. We want running backs to get in the end zone. That's what we want. We want over 250 on the ground at minimum every game, no matter who we playing. And so for us, if I'm a part of that, that's to make you feel good. If we ain't get that number, and I don't feel like we did enough in the run game. So I kind of look at myself. I get critical of, okay, what could this block have been? What could that? And then looking back on the season, there's a lot of things I can work on. So that's the exciting part for me is, okay, now that I know that I didn't, do this, or I didn't have this game, this perfect block on this play, how can I go fix that? And so, but for me, I always held myself to that standard. I didn't care who I was playing, is no sacks, no pressures. So that's why I think in the Michigan game I had 1 pressure or 2 pressures, I think. But, I had a clean bill on the sack side, so that was good. I felt good about that. But, yeah, so that's kind of I guess that's kind of my skill.
I think I see 2 more questions. Jamaree, 1, if I got this right, I think no penalties except on a special team snap.
Yeah.
And then how many sacks did you give up at left tackle? Is that it? Is that 1?
1.
Who was the 1?
Will Anderson in the 4th quarter. He jumped the snap. But I mean, I guess I can't really say that's not, fair or whatever. But he jumped the snap. He had a great play. He got. 4 quarters of football. He kind of got a rhythm of our cadence or whatever. And so, he jumped the snap. He tried to bend the corner pretty well and got a sack. But for most of the game, I pretty much shut him down and stuff like that. But we shook hands at the end of the game, kind of gave respect for each other. But yeah, that's the only sack I've given up at left tackle. So
that's 2 years. That's all the time you started at Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one. You mentioned something earlier that kind of crystallized this in my head. Can you imagine what it's like today with these young men in recruiting in NIL, where, NIL was geared to be a reward for established players in school.
Right.
And I never really believed the notion that, athletes wanted a bigger piece of the pie with everybody that was getting that. But
Right.
to me, from my experience, that a college athlete at an SEC level, at a Georgia level, is pretty well taken care of. But I don't mind the college athlete getting the money, but it's almost like now it's an enticement to choose a school, which is the way it wasn't intended to be. What are your thoughts on what's happening now and how college football is rapidly changing just since you've been a Bulldog?
Yeah, I say the coaches and recruiting operations people are smart. I say that to be able to take an entity like NIL and use it as a way to, recruit. I think that's very smart. A lot of people predicted that that's what would happen, and it did. But to me, I just don't want the love of the game to go away. I don't want people to start coming to college to get paid, because at the end of the day, while I'm all for that, people should get what they were. At the end of the day, the grind still has to happen. People don't go to the NFL at 18 years old. So I don't want people thinking they can come to college at 18 years old and that they should be ready to go to the NFL. And that I fear that could be what happened. I don't know, because I don't know any of the kids getting recruited nowadays, but I don't want that to be what happens, is that these kids come in at 18 thinking like, oh, I'm going first round. It's not how that works. You got to put in the work. You got to grind. A lot of freshmen find out early, and especially if you're a freshman, like me personally, I took it personal. Like a freshman coming in, popping off in the mouth, like, okay, let's find out. Let's find out if you're everything they say you were. And so, but yeah, there's a learning curve. It was a learning curve for me. There's a special breeds out there, the Andrew Thomases that offered actually first rounders at 18 years old. So, there's there's a very fine, thin line of people that come in like that. And so I want the young guys to understand that, like, this is a process. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid to compete. And at the end of the day, just trust it. At the end of the day, at a premier institution like Georgia, standing there, getting better, waiting your chance, getting those practice reps every single day. And then going out and dominating maybe your junior, your senior year, your fifth year. Like, there's people on this team this year that I know is going to go and tear it up, because I've seen what they can do in practice. It's just been waiting for the chance to shine. So I just don't want an entity like NIL to kind of take the love of the game away and make it so fiscally centered. So I guess that's my thoughts on it.
Who's on your tear it up list, man? You intrigued me there. Who's on your tear it up list?
Me, Robert Bill is going to be a problem. I'll say that. Robert Bill is going to be a special player, just going against him every day in practice. He got brick hands. He's strong. He can rush the pass. We all know that. So Robert Bill is definitely on my tear it up list. We all know Jalen Carter's bound for a freaky season. I think Said and Warren and all those guys up front are going to have a great year. Those tailbacks, the Kendall Milton, the Dejons, the Kenny Mack, they're going to got a really special season. And I heard they got some young guys in the stable that's going to be really special as well. And I think, everybody's going to – I pray, me being the person that I am, that everybody has a great year. But I just – in my heart, I feel like Robert Bill is going to really be a problem in the SEC coming off that edge. So I'm excited to see Bill play. I'm excited to see Beefy play. Excited for Chris to see all those guys that kind of were in my class or older, to see them play this year and finish it off the right way. So,
yeah, Robertson actually a super senior, a super senior from the 2017 class, which makes him a grown man out there.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem, I'm sure.
One reader question: Randy Hall says, "Who was the best college player you played against?"
The best college player I've played against. Not on my team. I'll say probably Derrick Brown. Either him or Javon Kinlaw. And I played them as sophomores, so it's crazy. That's like one of the two games I played. Like one of the few games I played, I got both of them. So they're freaky players. But those are probably two of the most talented players I played against when I was on the interior as a sophomore. So I'll probably say those are probably two of the best I played.
And those guys were in their money years. That was
Those those two were different. I'll say that.
Jamaree, you said something really cool, and I guess I'll close it up with this. I don't know, you probably know this story, but I think one of the great future Bulldogs, Mikhail Williams. I was talking to him in Texas at the All-American Bowl, where I talked to you many years ago.
Yeah.
And he said, I asked him what it was his welcome to Georgia moment. And he said there was something he tried, and you said something to him like, man, college football, not going to do that. He tried to make a move, and you're like, man, no. This is college football now, son. And he called it his welcome to Georgia moment. And I just love that story. It's on my mind right now because you talked about, you get humbled a little bit when you first get to Athens. And then it's like a circle of bulldog a little bit. And then you're passing those lessons out to everyone else.
Circle of life, yeah, he is going to be a talented player. I will start by saying that he is going to be a very talented player. It's crazy because in practice he was Aiden Hutchinson. Like when the freshman got there, he was Aiden Hutchinson, and he's talented. I would say I don't want to put too much on him, but he's talented. I'll say that. I'll say he's talented. I say if he does what he's supposed to do and he does everything the right way, which I believe he is. He seems like a good young man, got a good head on his shoulder. He's talented. But we had a little bit of scrapping going on. Not anything, malicious or anything like that, but some good battles leading up to the Michigan game. He's very talented. I don't remember exactly what he did, but I remember that day. And I was just like, man, this is different. I think he tried to bull rush me. I think that's what it was. He tried to bull rush me. And I'm like, listen, I'm 20, 21 years old. You're not going to just come out here and bull rush me, not at 17, 18 years old. So, I just kind of had to, let him know, like, okay, like this bowl practice, but all right, just relax a little bit. But, he's good. I'm not saying that I went out there and pitched the shutout every day. He was a good player. He beat me every once in a while. That's what's supposed to happen in practice. So, he's going to be a freaky player. I would say that if he does things the right way and he practices and puts the work in, he's going to be a great player. So,
Jamaree, I'm going to give you the floor for this last bit, man. There's a lot of people hanging on your every word. They're soaking it up. I told myself, do not go long with Jamaree. And here's what I did. I've gone long with Jamaree because you're great.
It's easy for us. It's easy for us. We got so much history. It's easy. It's easy for us. We probably sit on here and talk for 2 hours.
Yeah, man. I'll be there. I've talked to Kev. I'm going to be there at that draft night, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got a message for all these people. I know you've already said it so amazingly a couple of times, and I always wonder, like, has it even really ever sunk in? But I just want, if you got anything you want to say to all these people that have basically been hanging on your every word, asking you a lot of questions, will you ever be able to say thank you enough for the support you got from DawgNation?
I don't think I will. It's crazy because, when you take a fan base and you make a fan base a tactical advantage on game day, like that's special. Like you talk about Arkansas at 12 noon in Athens at Sanford Stadium, like the fans were a problem. Like they were a problem. And so like when you actually have fans like helping you win games, that's when it's special. And so I think when I think of DawgNation, I think of moments like that, me being a competitor I am, is like how can we get the upper hand? And I don't think anybody could have assumed how much they would have impacted our season. They did. It made it hell for teams to come into Sanford Stadium and play. They did every time, no matter who we were playing. And so I'm very thankful for DawgNation. I'm thankful not only from a football standpoint, but not from a football standpoint, but just even from a support standpoint on social media. I see your Ada Hutchinson tweets. I appreciated the memes and all that. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate you guys shouting me out whenever you do. DawgNation has really been special to me. When they see me outside, even outside the state, when I travel, people would come up, shake my hand, ask for pictures and stuff like that. And I never deny people. I just try my best not to, because at the end of the day, these people, they put money and time into us. At the end of the day, whether it's tickets, whether it's actually donating to the team, being a donor. So whether it's shouting on in the stands or even at home viewing the game. And so for me, I just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you, because at the end of the day, y'all make what we do fun. That's the truth. The fans make it fun. And I know that because I played with no fans or barely any. So I know for a fact that the game is way more fun when it's packed, when there is 96, 97K in the stands. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, all the scraps and battles that you've been in at away games, trying to get tickets and fighting Florida fans and Tennessee fans. I mean, I appreciate all of it. I've heard the stories from my mom, and so I appreciate you guys. I can't say enough how much I appreciate DawgNation, because at the end of the day, like I said, they make what we do fun, and when it's fun, you play a lot better. So,
very well said, folks. Do two things. One, go take your kid to the bookstore before GDay. Get this man's autograph. Take your son with you. Take your daughter with you, and just point at that young man and say, you know what? That's what a real living DGD looks like right there.
For sure.
Jamaree, thank you so much. Folks, let's do this. Spam that feed. Just say thanks to this young man. Tell him how much you appreciate him and how there probably will never be another number 69 between the hedges, quite like Jamaree Salyer out of Pace Academy. The national champion, Jamaree, best of luck to you. I'm going to see you down the road. Can't wait to see what the good master upstairs has in store for you down the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you again. I appreciate you having me. As usual, we got more catching up to do, but I appreciate this short time. I'm glad I got to talk to you.
Jamaree, thanks, buddy. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, DawgNation. That was, that's as good as we get on Before the Hedges and After the Hedges. Jamaree Salyer. I say that kind of tongue in cheek because I think Jamaree will always be between the hedges in our memories, in our hearts, and the way he played the game. And when he starts coming back, and I don't know, maybe he becomes a Jonas Jennings role for Georgia 10 years down the road after a brilliant career with maybe the Dallas Cowboys, his longtime favorite, childhood favorite, or maybe the hometown Atlanta Falcons. I know his mom would certainly like that. Such a great lady she is as well. This is the hard part now, guys. It's the hard part. Tell your friends about this show brought to you by Kroger. Now we got to talk about recruiting. It's almost like, what are we doing here now? We could cut the show here. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go tempo. I'm going to go hurry up with recruiting a little bit to get things going. But first, this becomes a podcast on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on the YouTube platform. It becomes a part of the DawgNation podcast. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook if you want to tell a friend or say, hey, folks, you need to check Jamaree out. He was great on Before the Hedges again. Please do that. Like I said before, go see Jamaree at the bookstore on GDay. Prior to GDay, they have a special event there with a lot of Bulldogs. You can get an autograph prior to GDay. He'll be there for a couple of hours. He said, I think that would be a great value for anybody that wants a keepsake from one of the finest young men you could ever be around. I'm going to say that pretty simple. Savings are always a slam dunk at Kroger. Speaking of a slam dunk interview, savings are always a slam dunk at Kroger. Shop everything you need for game day, either in store or at your local Kroger store, or shop online at Kroger.com/basketball. That's some madness there in the grocery aisles at Kroger. Very thankful to have them as a sponsor for the Before the Hedges program. Let's do this. Why don't we do this? Got top targets. I'm going to roll through top targets. I've got some tweets. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I thought I saw somebody with a question about the most immediate replacements for Jamaree Salyer. We kind of hinted on that in the interview. That would be Broderick Jones. I think he will probably slide into the left tackle. Marius Mims has got to work his way into the best 5 or 6 as well, either at guard or tackle. I think Warren McClendon is so talented that you leave him at right tackle rather than to do something crazy like move him into guard. And then so Marius Mims can get on the field. I think Cedric Von Granger is a great anchor. You've got to also think about Devin Willock and Xavier Truss. And don't forget Tate Ratledge. Folks, I'm going to tell this to you very simply. I hear this all the time. I hear this all the time from college coaches and from high school coaches that know what they're talking about, that go watch Georgia practice. I really think Georgia's second team offensive line, so their best 6 through 10 guys in the program in the offensive line room, I really think those guys could start for all but about 3 or 4 teams in the SEC. I think Georgia's third team line can start for about 3 or 4 teams in the SEC. That's how stacked they are. Baggins and friends, I will be on the DawgNation cruise. That's a question that was very cool to answer there. Lots of people are asking, like, let me just recap. Let me be a reporter here. Quick, hard-hitting analysis. Very interesting how he mentioned Broderick Jones, but also very interesting in how he mentioned that he feels that Robert Beal is going to be a A1A dynamite, dangerous man for Georgia in this 2022 season. That is something to think about as well. There as well, he talked about the future of Mikhail Williams, excuse me. A lot of great players there. He shouted out a lot of the running backs, a lot of the offensive linemen. He knows what he's talking about when he says that Jalen Carter is one of the best 5 or 6 NFL draft prospects in the 2023 NFL draft. Very cool to hear him talk about all that draft stuff. Very cool, that stream of consciousness he had when he started talking about when he knew they had Alabama beat, how important that first loss was to Alabama for Georgia to find their best when their best was required, and win the national championship in the rematch with Alabama. Such a proud Bulldog, such a great career. Comes in with the number one recruiting class in 2018, all the 5 stars where Georgia was supposed to win the Natty. And that class gets splintered for lots of various reasons, and yet still some mainstays like James Cook, Zamir White, Jamaree Salyer, those remaining 5 stars end up being the class, the core of the class that ends up winning the national championship for Georgia. You got to throw Channing Tindall in there. You got to throw Quay Walker in there. You got to throw also got to throw Jordan Davis. Of course, you got to throw Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt in there as well. Let's hit the top targets really fast. I want to make sure that we get some coverage on recruiting tonight, even though I think that was, like I said earlier, it's as good as Hedges could ever get when I get the chance to wrap back and forth and chop things up with Jamaree Salyer. New name at number 15. He's visiting Georgia tomorrow, actually, Caleb Herring. Very big visit there. I think this is the visit where you're going to see a story about that on DawgNation.com in the morning. Kind of previews the Caleb Herring visit in Athens. He's got a lot of family, even though he's from Tennessee and his brother plays for the Tennessee Volunteers. Caleb Herring told me his family is mostly 97% from the state of Georgia. Caleb Herring is the nation's number 6 edge, I believe. That's a top 100 overall prospect. He's number 15 with a bullet this week, climbing fast. Number 14 is Raylan Wilson, Michigan commitment, visited about 2 weeks ago out of Lincoln, Florida. Tamarian Parker, TJ Parker, we wrote about him this week on DawgNation.com. Georgia is still his leader, although Ohio State and Alabama are there lurking. Quay Rusal out of Carver High School in Troy, Alabama. Gabe Harris, another guy that'll be on the pages of DawgNation.com tonight or tomorrow out of Valdosta. He's a guy that Coach Chadiria Uzo-Deribe has really earmarked as a guy that he would love to see in the class. Braylon James, a standout wide receiver out of Texas, another standout wide receiver out of Texas. Folks, the wide receivers are coming with names like Hakeem Williams and Tyler Williams and Devin Hyatt that just visited Georgia this past weekend. The receivers, the receiver interest, the right players, the right connections with BMAC. Those guys are getting to see Georgia. They're leaving Georgia feeling great about the fit, making sure that they know they want to come back. You'll see a little bit more about them in the program later on. Troy Bowles, incredible linebacker. Throw him in the Jalen Walker mode. He was also in Athens 2 weeks ago. Reuben Owens, Jamal Jarrett. We wrote about him this week on DawgNation.com. Jamal did not want to leave Athens. He knows that this is a little bit of news we had early in this week. Jamal said he didn't want to leave. He said that he is coming back for an unofficial, won't be there at GDay, but he's already set Georgia up in that A1A June official visit slot. That's the one that was so good to Georgia a year ago with Oscar Delp and Garrett and Gunnar Stockton and Branson Robinson. Georgia got a lot of future program leaders in that weekend. Denylon Morissette, they all came in that first weekend in June. A big name here, Jonel Aguero, the nation's number 2 safety. He is visiting Athens after seeing Ohio State, after seeing Florida, after seeing LSU twice. He's coming back to a place that kind of did feel a lot like home to Jonel Aguero. Very important for Georgia to reestablish leverage. I'm going to use that word, to reestablish leverage in that recruitment. Number 4, Justice Haynes, the legacy there. He has 0 questions about Georgia. I think Georgia is recruiting Justice Haynes well enough to win that commitment. We will wait and see how long things go there with Justice Haynes. Victor Burley, going to have some news about him to share in our tweet segment a little bit later. Arch Manning, we wrote about him recently. He just visited Texas, plans to visit Alabama, plans to visit LSU as well. I do think Georgia is in a good position there with some leverage on this Arch Manning recruitment as well. I won't say it's the best leverage, but I think Georgia is certainly in that thing. And then number 1, again, even ahead of the young man Manning, Caleb Downs, a very special type of safety you don't see but every 4 or 5 years when you cover recruiting. He's out of Mill Creek and Hoshton, Georgia. Caleb Downs is still the #1 target on the Hedges top target list. Rolling along, Georgia, other names to consider. C.J. Allen, another name on this list. We're going to roll through them. Kelby Collins just visited Georgia yesterday. That's a big target out of Alabama. So many big-time prospects that Georgia is chasing and fighting the Crimson Tide for in the state of Alabama. A.J. Harris, he's on there, another one from Alabama. He just visited. Devin Hyatt. Going down the list, Caden Lee, Kyan Lee. I think Georgia and Caden Lee are – and that's a name that was really high for Georgia about a year ago in the 2023 class. I think Georgia dipped a little bit. I think BMAC and this recruiting effort recently is trying to establish, basically that common ground back again with Caden Lee. Caden McDonald is a guy that's taken some visits. He seems like he really enjoyed himself at Oklahoma. Tony Mitchell, there's some news there as well. He just dropped his top 5 this week. Zachariah Owens, Madden Sanker about to drop a top 12. Going on and on down the list. The last 3 names I will spotlight. Tyler Williams, he visited. You're going to see a tweet from him in a minute. Hakeem Williams, he visited. You're going to see a tweet from him in a minute. And Richard Young, the nation's #1 running back. I think Georgia is really in the steel cage match there with Alabama and Ohio State and Florida there for Richard Young. But he just had another great visit to Athens. Offensive tackle, wide receiver, running back, and outside linebackers are the priorities in the 2023 class. Georgia's the #4 class in the country right now. 7 commitments, 5 offense, 2 defense. There are 4 top 100 commits. 4 of the top 5 highest rated commits in this 2023 class so far are all offensive players. I think this is what the counterpoint has to be after Georgia got scattered, smothered, covered, capped, chunked, diced, and smothered with elite defensive players in the 2022 signing class. Georgia has 204 offers so far. They have given out 6 over the last week. 1 is an athlete, 2 cornerbacks, 2 linebackers, and 1 defensive lineman. If you look at a lot of those numbers that are not changing, that is usually a tell that Georgia has a group of players that they like, that are good enough, that have committable offers, and they don't need to offer any more players. That's just something you see year in and out, year out with recruiting. Folks, those are your top targets. I've got some tweets to share with you right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the program today so far with Jamaree Salyer. Just joining us. Folks, go back and watch that. That's the good stuff. That is the Robin Williams, Goodwill Hunting good stuff with a great communicator, a great young man, and a fella that's just what everybody wants to see in a college athlete, future professional football player that deserves and earns and deserves all the blessings that are coming his way. First one I want to show you guys, let's look at this tweet from Jonel Aguero. A lot of ties right there to Lewis Seen. They come from the same state of Massachusetts. Jonel admires his game. Jonel has gotten to meet Lewis Seen when he's came to Georgia for visits there. Vic Burley, we mentioned earlier. Vic Burley established his top 12. Georgia's in there. I think Georgia's a definite contender in there. I think Clemson is a team to watch there as well. Tony Mitchell dropped his top 5. Recently, Georgia made the top 5. Oregon made the top 5. Alabama made the top 5. Texas A&M and Florida made the top 5. For Tony Mitchell, a guy that I think is probably more of a money, more of a star, more of a safety type than where he's ranked right now as a pure cornerback. I think he's going to play a lot over the back end somewhere. Tony Mitchell also just announced, or was reportedly has been saying, that Florida was his leader coming out of his recent visit to Florida. He did also visit Georgia recently as well. Hakeem Williams, I want you to look at this tweet right here. You want to talk about a young man. Opinions will vary, but the red helmet, the black pants, the white, that works for me. Maybe because I got a young son that plays a lot of Madden, that likes to watch, that likes to get me on the sticks with him, and likes to change up and use all those color rush jerseys. I like the elements that Georgia's starting to bring into the color palette through Nike to their jerseys. What do you guys think about that? A couple more tweets. Tyler Williams here is out of Florida, out of Lakeland, Florida. Big priority for Georgia in the 2022 class. A big 6'5" receiver. former high school quarterback. Ty Williams is out of South Florida. He's got that South Florida speed. He had a great visit to Georgia this weekend. He was already really tight and really connected to BMAC already from when BMAC was at Miami and in Oregon. And I think Georgia is in an enviable position right now. I think Georgia and Clemson are the teams to watch there. And you want to know how well that visit went? The Mama tweet. Follow the visits. That's a mantra. That's one of our commandments here on Before the Hedges. Follow the visits. Follow the follows on social media, but you should also follow what mom tweets and what mom says. And I think Tyler Williams' mom makes it pretty clear that they will definitely be back, and they loved everything they saw at Georgia this past weekend. Some more recruiting news to share as I'm trying to hurry this thing up and go tempo, go NASCAR. There will be an announcement on Friday. LT Overton will make his decision, the 5-star from 2023, who became a 5-star from 2022. He just visited Texas A&M, a school that many thought was the leader most of the stretch of his recruitment. He also visited Oregon. He visited Georgia. Those 3 schools in really about a 2-week, 10-day period. He's going to make his announcement during halftime of the Geico High School National Basketball Tournament. It was interesting that he did not make the time for official visits to Ohio State or Oklahoma. His dad played at Oklahoma, Ohio State. Also, when you take 3 official visits right before a decision among your top 5 and you never take an official to the other 2 and you're condensing the timeline, it certainly leads me to believe that this is a final 3 and not a top 5 for LT Lebius Overton out of Milton High School. I would say right there that I think Oregon and Texas A&M would be the major contenders there for LT Overton, especially right now at this time. Folks, that's been Before the Hedges. It's been After the Hedges with Jamaree Salyer. Johnny Webster, I am ready for the Masters next week. That's always a special time. I grew up as a Cub reporter in Augusta, Georgia, working for the Augusta Chronicle, covering the Masters. It was one of the highlights of my professional reporting career. I've attended and covered 5 Masters. Philip Jordan Wells, thank you for the kind words there. Thomas Dew. My answer to that question is yes. Antoine Simpson, Alan Vermonic has a take about the offensive line will be better. Kirby's Visor, thank you for that as well. Folks, if you've liked this program, if this is the type of stuff you've enjoyed, this type of interview, this type of really cool DawgNation conversation with Jamaree, things like that, hit that like button, tell people about it, share it across your timeline, because all we want to do is keep doing what we're doing. We thank you so much for everything you guys do, for supporting us, for supporting Kroger, which allows a fellow like me to be humbly and thankfully be able to do this stuff for a living. Very grateful to do what I do, and very grateful for each and every one of you guys out there as well. Let's say thanks to everybody. Let's say thanks to everybody for joining us tonight, taking some time to chat with us and sit down with Jamaree and talk about Georgia football recruiting. Brandon Adams is in the morning. DawgNation Daily. Catch him for his 1st and 15 at 9:45. It's always the best of what we have to offer every day on DawgNation. Brandon's show. He does a marvelous job of connecting with each and every one of you guys and feeding all the mouse with all the content and all the talking points about all things Georgia athletics each and every day. Think about that DawgNation cruise, guys. If you guys remember the video from last week, I had Jeff flying through the air in a zip line. I'd love to do some of that stuff with some of you guys as well. Hang out, enjoy ourselves on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Whew. Guys, that's been a show. It's been my pleasure to be your host tonight on another edition of After the Hedges, Before the Hedges. Thankful to be able to be with all you guys tonight. That's your intel. I'm Jeff Sintel. Be well, everybody, and we'll see you guys again on the pages of DawgNation.com. I love you guys. Thanks for taking time.